What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Lemonade Health. Look, the new year is a great time to check in on your general health and well-being, especially in the middle of a pandemic. But still, you don't necessarily want to have to go to a doctor's office, chill in a waiting room for half an hour, deal with all the annoying restrictions put in place. That's why virtual medicine is where it's at. Lemonade Health is a virtual medical office providing you affordable health care without the need for insurance. Lemonade's medical team can treat anything from erectile dysfunction, anxiety, to depression, insomnia, hair loss, high blood pressure, and more. Lemonade is providing our listeners with 50% off your first order of any ED medication. Getting started is very easy. All you have to do is visit lemonadehealth.com/tire, and that's not spelled like the beverage. It's spelled AID, lemonaidhealth.com. You just fill out the online questionnaire, and their medical team will review and get you your medication fast. Delivery is fast, free, and comes in discreet packaging. Visit lemonaidhealth.com/tire, TIRE, for 50% off your first order of ED medicine with Lemonade Health. We are also brought to you by Dylan Optics sunglasses. Do you know those beautiful sunglasses you see me wearing in every video? The ones with the matte lenses, they don't just look different, guys. They work different. Dylan Optics is like HD life. Their NIR lens technology makes seeing in the bright light bearable. Honestly, I'm out in the desert. I'm up on mountains. It's hot. It's sunny. It's dry. I live on the West Coast, so with driving home in the sunset, I'm always going right into the sun. Dylan Optics keep my eyes from hurting at the end of basically every single day. And if you go to our website, thesmokingtire.com, click on the Partners tab, and under there you'll see the Dylan Optics banner. If you click on that link to get your pair of Dylan Optics, I will send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt for every pair of Dylan Optics sunglasses you order. Get 2 pairs, get 2 t-shirts. Go to thesmokingtire.com, click on the Partners tab, and use that link to get your Dylan Optics sunglasses, the official eyewear of the Smoking Tire Podcast. And of course, this show is brought to you by Tradecraft Farms. Follow them on Instagram, Tradecraft_farms. The most delicious, scrumptious, potent, delightful ganja that you can buy legally in the state of California, and it's all I smoke, folks. Tradecraft Farms, these guys, they know it's not shady. They're professionals, they care about science, and they have just the most fabulous product. Their Instagram, whoever handles their macro shots over at the Tradecraft_farms Instagram, knows how to take a pretty bud shot. I brought our friend Thaddeus down there to check out the facilities while he was in town, and just every time I go in there, blown away by the quality of that product. The cleanliness, the consistency, it's excellent. If you're in California, get it wherever you get your retail ganja at. If you're not in California, just give Tradecraft_farms a follow on the gram. And I'm going to be having a meetup at one of their dispensaries some point in the summer. So look out for that. Tradecraft_farms, the official ganja of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Okay, folks, this should be fun. We've got a famous racing driver on the show. Alexander Rossi is in the house. This dude races IndyCar. He races prototypes. He's had a hand in Bathurst. He's had a hand in Formula One. He's had a hand in off-road, and he's telling us stories about all of it. Alexander Rossi is on the Smoking Tire Podcast. All right. From Indiana, Alexander Rossi is in the house, or virtually. What's up, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you for dive bombing in. Zach, let's get him back, because I don't want to look at me. The audience wants to see Alex. And there he is with a beautifully soft Zoom background. Appropriate for working from home. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy that in this day and age we can still have face-to-face contact virtually. I guess.
Yeah.
Wish I would have bought Zoom stock a year ago.
I know.
Here we are.
Well, a year ago, the word Skype was a verb. Skype is a nothing anymore, but that was like
Skype?
Skype was Kleenex a year ago. Where did they go?
Sure.
I mean, has anyone dropped the ball harder than Skype?
Is Zoom's product really that much better though?
I think. Well, we don't use Zoom. We're using Switchercast, but
Right.
Zoom. I think. Zach, was Zoom the first one to do the multiple boxes to allow you to do group chatting? Can you do that on Skype?
Skype followed Zoom, and Skype's is far worse. The interaction is quite bad.
There you
Okay.
go.
Oh, I guess that's what it had to be. It was all about the group chat.
Good for Zoom.
I just want to start with what the hell is it like to be a racing driver in the last 12 months? Is it weird? Is it? Go ahead.
It's less cool than it was 14 months ago, just because it's amazing how much the fans, I mean, to any sport, but to racing, because we don't really see them in the middle of a race because you're in a car and it's not a stadium type sport. So much of the pre-event build up and energy is all fan related. So when that goes away, you're kind of on the grid about to do this race, and it's kind of cool. This is weird.
You just feel like you're in practice or something?
It's a practice race, it's an exhibition or something like that. Because
you're in a scrimmage.
Right. So much of our show is the driver introductions and the fireworks and the parade lap and all that sort of thing. And when that goes away, you're just getting in your car and driving around in circles, trying not to hurt people. So yeah.
Have they tried to do? I mean, look, obviously everyone's doing their best to make it work and keep people employed and keep people entertained, and from drivers to crew people to whoever, TV people and whatnot. Have they tried to do anything that was really a good faith effort to take something that was formerly in person and make it virtual, where you're just oh God, this does not work?
Yeah, kind of. And it's a good segue. I'm so thankful that we were able to get a season in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. That was always a big concern when this all kind of kicked off in March. It was are we even going to race? Is racing going to exist and all this stuff? So it was a huge effort from the promoters and the series and the teams to all kind of finagle their way and make a season happen. But yeah, the series tried a lot of different virtual kind of fan meet and greets and sponsor appearances, and it was a necessary evil, sure. But I talk about the fact that I just cannot wait for the day that we're back to in-person attendance, just because it's so strange. Because sometimes you have these meet and greets, but people don't really want to talk to you, so you're just sitting there trying to engage an audience that doesn't have anything to ask, and you're well, I had this for lunch today. I've got 2 dogs. I grew up in California, and it's very strange. You lose that human to human interaction. But nonetheless, we're all adapting. It's all good. It's a very much a first world problem, and I'm happy to start the race season here next weekend.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to jump to trick you into complaining. I mean, we understand. I think when people have really interesting jobs, especially a professional athlete that is performing a full season with no audience, I think I really am interested in that perspective and what that's like. I think it's got to be weird with golfers. People where the event is the whole weekend and not just one thing. Playing a basketball game in front of no crowd, that's probably weird. But when it's a whole weekend of stuff it's usually in front of a big crowd or a variety of in-person things, and that's all gone, that's got to be weird as hell, man.
For sure. I mean, it gives you such an appreciation for what you had with the fans. But so the Indy 500. It's a 2-week long kind of experience, if you will, and the entire town of Indianapolis kind of transforms into this race community. And the day of the race is the most attended single day sporting event in the world. And
yeah, what's the attendance at the 500? normally?
I mean, it could. I mean, 340,000 people.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's monumental, right?
Yeah.
So we raced in front of 0 of those people in August, because it's usually May. It had to get postponed to August, and you have all of the pageantry and the build up, which is really usually starts at 6 a.m. on race day morning, and that's just all gone. But what's weird is like the nerves still exist because it's still the Indianapolis 500, right? So you're like having this internal
all the
battle
anxiety,
of like,
none of the
why
fun.
am I nervous? But it's like, oh, I should be nervous, but why?
Oh, that's so weird.
It's strange. It's very strange. I don't like it.
Once you're in the car, can you tell the difference on the circuit that there are is the energy different racing on the track with people in the fans versus without, or once you're in the car, it's like, I'm here anyway?
Yeah, you don't notice it at all once you're in the car. It's, without getting too inside baseball, with racing, there's a part of Indianapolis turn 1 that, you practice all week and everything, and it's all 4 corners are the same around Indianapolis. Same geometries, same width, same everything, same banking. But when you go into it on race day, in usual circumstances, for the first time, it's the first time that particular grandstand has been filled. And so when you come down to turn 1 the first time, it feels almost like you're going into a tunnel because you don't have the light coming in anymore, and it feels like 5 times narrower.
Well, that's
than
what
it has.
This is exactly what I meant
time.
in this question. Yeah, the grandstand changes a color and it reflects, light differently.
I guess it
so
does.
it kind of is. Yeah.
It kind of does make a little bit of a difference. And the other aspect to that is our cars are super sensitive to wind. So when you don't have 100,000 people in a particular grandstand kind of buffering that wind.
Whoa.
Or breathing.
Like when you take all the carpeting out of your living room and it's like echo. Yeah, they're not blowing you around turn 1.
Sometimes you get enough people.
How many miles per hour, does a wind gust need to be for you to notice it in the car? Is it like 1 or is it 10 or?
It'll blow your mind. I mean, it's about 5 knots, so like 6-7 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not much.
That's not much.
It's not much. But light car, high speed, downforce,
that's
dependent.
the thing. So most tracks you wouldn't really notice it that much, but because Indianapolis, you run such a low level of downforce that the cars are kind of already on a knife edge in the first place, doing 235 miles an hour.
And in Indy, the banking is there's less banking than like a NASCAR super speedway too, right? It's not that heavily banked, right?
It's like a quarter of it maybe.
Yeah.
So we actually check windsocks out of turn 4 on the front straight and out of turn 2 on the back straight every single lap, and you can adjust the car kind of based on the wind conditions. It's a little bit like flying an airplane. Except
So wait, you're driving
the ground.
200. Is it you checking it at 230 miles an hour or 220,
too.
or is it like do you have a crew chief who's watching and
No, you look
calling
at it twice a lap. Yeah.
every lap. That's a glance up is windsock. Fuck, what do you look at more than the fucking windsock? Is there anything you look at twice a lap more than the windsock?
I guess not.
That's literally the most important thing. I mean, as far as your focus in the car, that's the routine. It's just windsock to windsock.
If you don't, like, you'll either have to lift because the balance isn't right, or you'll try and not lift and get away with something. And sometimes you will, and other times you'll crash. It's just like,
how interesting that is that's your indicator for your entry speed right there. That windsock. How about that?
This may be a dumb question, but because I know you've driven F1 cars, you've driven Indy cars, you've driven off-road stuff. I'm always like amazed at with F1 driving at the number of controls on the wheel and how many things those drivers can adjust. Between Indy and F1, are there an equal amount of things to pay attention to and change and adjust as you're driving, or is one of them simpler or easier than the other? And I know that neither are easy.
I mean, an IndyCar is way simpler. In the car you have a front and rear like anti-roll bar. You have brake bias. You have a couple engine settings, and then you have like you can move weight from the left front tire to the right front tire. You can move up to 100 and something pounds of cross weight.
Oh, really?
It.
Is that just on a slider with a dial?
It's buttons. So like you'll press a button and it'll move in 5-pound increments.
Oh wow.
Which is
a neat
cool
system. Yeah, that's a neat system.
It's
That's
instant. It's instant. So it's quite trick. In qualifying, you can actually use it. You'll exit a corner and you'll go full right front weight, which lowers the ride height of the car.
Yeah.
So you have less drag.
Whoa.
But then you have to remember to put it back before the corner. That's quite bad.
Windsock. Wait, yeah.
Windsock.
Amazing.
I'd like to find a picture of what what one of those systems looks like outside of a car. Is it literally just like little blocks of lead that just go thump, 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 like that, or is it some other kind of thing?
No. So it's jack, just changing kind of a spring offset at the rear of the car, which is moving the weight diagonally, either to the left front or to the right front.
So yeah. That's
a little bit simpler, or simpler but more complicated than just blocks of lead flying around.
I mean, I know what you mean. I don't know if it's simpler or if it's more complicated. The math is more complicated, but the ultimate system is probably better to deal with than whatever I had in mind with like my rain stick.
Too much lead.
Bro,
it's just knocking around your feet.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm stupid. What am I going to do? I don't know shit like this. But so lap to lap though, if it's like not oval but like road course IndyCar, you're messing with less stuff in general than you are with an F1 car.
Oh, for sure. Like a road and street course, you'll adjust something maybe once every 2 laps on average type of thing, whereas an F1 car, it's every single lap. Like you're chasing parameters, which is ridiculous actually, because it kind of takes the joy out of driving the cars. Like, don't get me wrong, they're amazing pieces of equipment and they're the best race cars on the planet, but they're so digital now, and you have to drive in a digital way almost. Whereas an IndyCar, a Daytona prototype, what have you, it's still kind of just a raw race car, and you can drive it. It kind of rewards the guy who's the most aggressive, and it's a more visceral experience. Whereas an F1 car, it's like you must brake here at this brake pressure for this long and turn in here and have the diff at this setting and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, cool.
That makes sense. Yeah. Is that kind of where, not that I don't think you're, grateful and all those right things, but is that kind of where the race car stops being fun? And you're sort of like, well, I'm a robot now.
So no, what stops being fun in F1 is if you're not in one of 2 cars, you lose.
Right.
So like if I was in a Mercedes and I was Lewis Hamilton, it'd be the most fun I've ever had in my life. Right?
Yeah, he does seem like he's having a pretty good time. Yeah, Lewis seems like he's doing okay.
To be Lewis, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we learned. What did we learn a couple months ago? That George Russell in a Mercedes can qualify pretty damn good, can't he? Uh-oh. Oh no, has Alex frozen?
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
No.
God, there he is. Sorry, you froze for a second. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I was just going to say it's not a coincidence that George hasn't signed a contract yet. Or sorry, Lewis hasn't signed his contract yet.
I wanted to ask, if you don't mind, about driving the Delta Wing, because is that the weirdest race car you've ever driven?
100%.
Have you ever driven another car that looked like a space shuttle by any chance?
It looks like something else.
It does also look very, very cock-like.
Yes.
But,
we call it the chrome cock.
Chrome cock is very appropriate. But how did it drive? I've never spoken with anyone who's driven it before except you.
That's a weird thing to freeze on.
Yeah. Sorry. We had a little technical snafu there. There you are. You are fully.
Yes.
And there it is.
So there it is. So here's the thing. The idea was good. It was going to be super efficient. It was not going to really use tires a whole lot, so you could double stint tires. And for Daytona and Le Mans, which it was designed for, it's super fast in a straight line. So those things it all did very well. The problem was when you had to stop or turn or accelerate again.
Oh, really?
It struggled. Yeah.
So, which of
Look at
those
that
things
thing.
was? It looks crazy, but which
so
of those
amazing.
things was it the worst at? Best to worst.
Stopping,
Okay.
stopping number one, then turning number two, and then the traction was, also not great. But
So was it
stopping
purely
bad.
just the stopping distance, or the fact that it would lose stability under braking?
No, it was pretty stable, but you had to. So the front tires, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, the audience, but about this width in my hand. So you had to have like 80% of the bias rearward, whereas on a normal race car, you're like 55 to 61% to the front.
Yeah.
But the front tire didn't take any braking capability. So you basically had to stop the car with two tires.
Yikes.
That was
That's
the biggest issue.
super
it just
sketchy.
Took forever. Yeah.
It's like stopping like an entry level go kart, where you only
With your feet.
where you've only got rear brakes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. But was it? But it was seriously fast in a straight line.
Oh man, it qualified fourth overall at Daytona. Like it was.
Oh, yeah.
It could do a lap around Daytona as good as anything else. Anywhere, any other track it raced at, it was a disaster, and they never quite. No fault of the designers, but they never quite got the reliability where it needed to be. So it never actually had any huge success. But the division was promising in some aspects. I think
It was
a
an
little bit before its
interesting
time.
hypothesis. I thought that such a
Correct.
weird thing. Like, it's like when the first team took a catamaran to the America's Cup, or was it an IndyCar, Alex, that ran some really bizarre offset where the driver was basically like in a pod hanging outside the car? Do you remember that? Am I making this shit up?
I mean, you're talking about way back when, but that
Like
was
in the
so
60s
mechanic
maybe,
could
or in the 70s or something,
Yeah.
right? When they were
Yeah,
really
I don't
doing
know.
some like funky designs.
Maybe. I know F1 cars used to run with a dual axle in the front, so you'd have 4 tires in the front.
Oh yeah, so that was a Tyrrell, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's got to be just weird. I mean, does that drive normal? Does that drive weird? Like, what the fuck is that about?
In theory, it probably drives normal, right? It's just it's weird to look at.
Really
And
strange.
Clearly, it wasn't the future because we have 4 wheels on our vehicles now. So
Yeah. Speak for yourself, bro. I mean, I don't know. I only drive. My
you drive a dually?
My cars only have reverse dually. We've only got 4 turning wheels in the front, and I like to have 1 wheel in the back. Actually, it's a Morgan 5-wheeler is what I've got.
Nice.
That
Really
would
cool.
actually be
Yeah.
kind of funky. What if you put an extra set of wheels on the front of a Morgan 3-wheeler, like an extra set of steering
Reverse
wheels?
dually.
That would be
You're very
real
balanced.
funky. It would look like Santa's sleigh.
It would stop really great.
There's a guy in Hermosa Beach, California, who has a Santa. He looks like Santa, obviously, and he has this thing that it's an engine. Basically, it's a giant V8 engine, blown, headers, right? Like flames at the side, on a cart that tows a sleigh, which he drives from. And
So the engine is just on its own cart.
it's just
separate
on its
from the
own
vehicle.
shit out front. Yeah, and he then drives.
No.
Yeah, it's funky. It's really funky.
So-
I mean, I've never seen him go more than like 20 miles an hour driving around the beach cities. But yeah, it does exist. Oh, look at that.
That is
Oh,
wild.
Zach got a picture of
It's called the Capsule Car.
the Capsule Car. Fuck, man, that thing is crazy. Does Alex get a picture of that?
He's
Yeah.
just looking at it.
Bro,
Yeah.
that is a
I went
car
on a
that is
ride at
not an
Disney World last
ambi-turner.
month. It was kind of like that. It was a Harry Potter ride where you ride on that little bike thing.
This one, here's a photo of it that Zach has. It was a Smoky Unique Indy car. It's got Hearst logos on it, and there's plastic sitting in the footwell, but the way it's set up, it looks like there's already a body bag in there. Pretty
This looks like one of the
Yeah.
most dangerous things in the world.
Look at the front. It's got like hands to
It has
try and
hands for
stop you from
bumpers.
going through the concrete wall.
Yeah,
Holy shit,
kinda
that's
funny.
so funny.
That's kind of funny.
God bless Smoky Unique, though. I mean, he came up with every cheat you could figure out, and that thing is rowdy as hell looking. I bet you.
Would you drive it?
Yes, 100%, but only in a place where I could only turn left.
A place without walls. A place without walls.
Okay.
I wanted to do a show on cars that started as things that weren't cars, like people who turned boats into cars and people who turned like those belly tankers into, you know, Bonneville cars, like just shit that was never meant to be a car turned into a car.
Did you see the guy in Florida?
Well, look where this is going already.
That took his like truck, like he modified a truck to like be able to touch the bottom of the like Tampa Bay.
He turned a truck in, with like super snorkels, so he could just fully drive it underwater with like really tall snorkels?
No, like it had like 15-foot tires. Like it was out of control, and it had like 16 of them.
Okay, hang on. Zach is trying to dig out a photo of this.
Just guy in Florida drives truck in water.
Drives truck in water. Tampa truck in water. Okay, we'll find that. I mean, this sounds like the most Florida thing ever. I mean, they have, you know, those Florida sort of swamp rig, you know, setups with like the 6-foot tires. Holy shit, look at that. Oh, he made it float with tires.
That. Did that, yeah. But check out the boat next to it. Like,
he turned his truck into a boat by making it
unbelievable.
Float with tires. You know what? Redneck ingenuity is good.
Unbelievable.
I mean, look at the title of this YouTube video is hysterical. Monster Mac drives in the ocean. (Parentheses) Police, Coast Guard, EPA, DNR called. You think you can steer that shit? God, please keep giving like you've been given, Florida. Never change. Incredible. Oh my God, there are pictures of this thing next to boats. Here's one next to what looks like a helicopter. This is fucking
it's
hilarious,
being chased by the FBI or whatever.
Monster Max. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is by a guy called Whistling Diesel, and I guess you could find him on Instagram. Whistling Diesel.
Look how far off the shore he is. Like, that's not messing around. That's not just for the video. Like, he is actually in the middle.
He is in the bay. Yeah, he is not. Yo, he's like following channel markers. Like he's like it's red right returning in a car, and his wake is really funny. Oh, this picture is hilarious. Look at this photo we've got up. His chase boat is this fucking 4-engined fishing boat thing, go fast fishing boat that is reversing in front of him. It looks like they're getting some kind of shot, but it's reversing at what looks like full throttle in front of the
They're doing boat to car.
Boat to car.
This is something else.
Boat to car. Wow.
One of the few things you have not driven, Alex.
On it?
I mean, look, Alex, I see a racing league. What do you think? I mean, I think things that aren't boats turned into boats, racing.
So believe it or not, I actually got invited to go drive that Miss Geico jet boat this week. Like, go race it.
Seriously?
With Travis Pastrana. Yeah, and I couldn't do it because, like...
Because you care for your life.
I mean, not really, but it's 2 days before Daytona. So the team was like, no.
No.
That's a hard no.
Yeah.
Like, cool idea, but no.
Yeah, they'll be setting up the rig at Daytona and pull up YouTube and the fucking thing will be backflipping somewhere.
Right, with Travis going, woo!
Yeah. No, wait, and by the way, rule of life, never race Travis Pastrana in anything where you could die. Because
anything that capsizes.
So I know those are two operators, right? So is Travis driving and you'd operate like the trim and engine, or you guys would trade off halfway through the laps?
There is no chance in hell I'm getting into a boat with Travis. A single operator, double operator, quadruple operator. You could not pay me to do
That's
hysterical.
Is this the boat? This is the catamaran skater. It's a crazy MTI cat. Is it this thing, Miss Geico?
Yeah, it's Miss Geico. Race mode. Yeah, it's that thing.
Every photo of it's in the air. Oh, man.
It's out of control.
Bro, I'm not getting in that with Travis driving. The fuck out of here. No way. No way. Not a chance.
He was telling me, I think it was this morning, he had to go into like a swimming pool and like drown himself and prove that like he could snorkel or whatever, scuba dive his way out.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, these things go over 100 miles an hour, but on water that feels like
100? It just said 213.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
They do 200 miles an hour.
It said 213 miles an hour,
That is
dude.
unsafe.
Dude, I've been 100 on the water before. It is so scary. It's so
on a
scary.
jet ski and thought that I was gonna go to outer space.
213.
Dude, you know what? The embargo's up. So Alex, I just drove this thing, the McLaren Elva. Have you seen this thing? It's a McLaren. It's a McLaren with a 720 with sort of this vintage style body that has no windshield or roof at all. It's a road car, no windshield.
Okay.
And it has this aero deflector thing that pops up at 30 that creates this bounce of air around the cabin, creating a high pressure zone. And, it won't stop a rock or a tire or anything, but it stops wind from going in your eyes, right? And it looks like this. It looks crazy. Right, let's say
Does it actually stop wind?
Yes.
So it's equivalent to just driving like a convertible, like a normal convertible?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Up to about 70, it's just like a nice breezy day, but you're not taking...
What happens at 150?
Well, that's where I was going, is that for a photo, I went 150 with the helmet off in this thing, and I felt like my sunglasses disintegrated on my face, and I've never been so fucking scared in my entire life. It was terrifying. And
For sure.
So when how do you get used to doing open wheel at 225, 230 and not feel like your just head is going to get sucked off?
Well, I mean, the helmets are actually pretty well designed. They've got kind of wickers and stuff on them that act kind of like wings. So you don't, sometimes you have helmet lift, but you can counteract that with these kind of plastic bits you put on. But
you put little dive planes on your helmet, kind of like little canards?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, that makes
100%.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
I'm one of the guys that runs with my visor cracked all the time. A lot of guys do it on road and street courses, but I also do it on the ovals.
Do you then put sunglasses on under the visor or no sunglasses?
No, so it's only cracked like yay much. But the problem is you don't feel it in the moment, but when I get out, I have the most bloodshot, dirt-filled eyes you've ever seen in your life.
100%.
It's messed up. I'm picking what feels like small boulders out of my eyes for the next 2 or 3 days. And everyone's like, I'm with you. Are you feeling okay? It's like, yeah, I'm fine. It's like your eyes. What were you doing out there?
That's so funny.
But it's it's a bit different now since we have this windscreen, windshield thing. So now it's opposite. There's no airflow, which causes its own sort of problems. But at least your face is safe.
What type of problems does that cause? Just get really hot?
It's really hot. Yeah. Which on the ovals isn't really an issue because there's not an actual in NASCAR or the sports cars. There's a blower fan, so you always have air. Where us, it's just a forced air kind of vent on the side. So at 200 miles an hour, it's no problem. You're getting plenty of air. But at 60, 70 on some of the road and street courses, it's a little bit of an oven.
Yeah.
So we're actually evaluating an almost a cool suit that is closed loop water that's being cooled by a little compressor. So that'll be pretty interesting.
Well, you've raced sports cars with a cool suit on, right? That's the best shit ever.
So I raced the V8 Supercar. Was the first time that I had it down in Australia.
Yeah.
And so you have two drivers. The co-driver is one of my really good friends, fellow IndyCar racer, James Hinchcliffe. And the one thing they said, they were like, no matter what you do in the race, don't unplug the cool suit too early because it'll freeze and it's dry ice. And once it freezes, it's game over. Well, this dickhead pulled it out way too early and it froze. And that would have been fine if there was I don't know, an hour to go in the race, but there was 4 or 5 hours left.
Oh God.
And it was brutal. It started it still is kind of circulating, but it's not cooling. Well, it's not circulating at all. But the water that's
gets
in
hot.
the shirt, it gets hot because
Yeah.
you're heating it yourself.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
The worst. Oh
not
no.
an enjoyable
Broken
experience.
cool shirt sucks. And what
Yep.
time of year is Bathurst? It's summer,
Well,
right?
it's November, so it's the summer.
So it's a summer for them, yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool shirt problems aside, is that not one of the sickest cars on the sickest track combinations
Yes.
that there is?
100%. And let me tell you how underqualified I was to do it. I thought, yeah, it's a car on a track, and no, I've never driven a tin top before. I've never driven anything with a roof other than a Daytona prototype. But it's a car on a track. Here's how I define that week. Had there not been timesheets, it would have been the best racing weekend I've ever experienced. It was that awesome.
Yeah.
But you know how a timing and sign goes, like it only fits monitor to position 28, right? Because there's only so much vertical real estate. And then you go to page 2 where the losers are. We never once got off page 2.
Oh no.
That's how depressing our week was. But nonetheless, it was a cool experience. I will go back one day to try and salvage what little pride I have left in Australia.
Well, if one of them guys came over, if one of them guys came over and tried to just hop in an Indy car and qualify at Indy, they might not make it on page 1.
That's what I thought. And I was like, that's for sure what's going to happen. Then Scott McLaughlin, the 2-time Supercar V8 champion, came over. Had never seen a street course before, had driven an IndyCar once, shows up at St. Pete, qualified like 9th.
Fuck out of here, really?
He's like,
no,
cool.
I should have researched that.
What's it like to be so talented at what you do?
Sometimes you get those people where have you ever, racing driver or otherwise, have you ever admired someone for one thing they do and then find out that they're amazing at a bunch of other shit? That drives you nuts.
So Scott Dixon, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 6-time IndyCar champion, the best of the current generation, all of this stuff. Okay, great. And then you meet him, super nice guy. Okay, beautiful wife, great kids, nice house, cool cars, everything, the vision, right?
Right.
And then you I don't know, you go play ping pong with him. He's great at that. You go on a bike ride, kicks your ass on a bike. Okay. I'm going to go skiing with him. Better than you. All right. Basketball, better than you. It's literally there is nothing that Scott Dixon can't do.
Oh, that's
it's the
so
most
frustrating.
Frustrating thing ever. So
that sucks. I don't have a personal friend one, but I went to a Pearl Jam concert, and I love Pearl Jam, and I saw Pearl Jam, whatever it was, last year, 2019. And I guess Eddie Vedder is friends with Kelly Slater, the surfer.
Yep.
And everyone knows Kelly Slater's an amazing surfer. It's Kelly Slater, of course. It's the thing that Kelly Slater does. Well, Kelly Slater comes out with a guitar on stage with Eddie Vedder and campfires out a song called Indifference, which is a very good song, and just not sings and plays and smashes it. And I was like, whoa. It was
Must be really hard for him to get chicks.
impossible. Who's that guy?
It's like Justin Timberlake. He does the whole singing and acting, and then you see these videos of him on Instagram or whatever, draining half court shots or hitting hole-in-one golf balls. It's oh, good.
Some people are destined for it, man. They have all the skills. What was it about or was it just lack of preparation in Bathurst, or what was it about driving that car that, I don't know, that you think you didn't quite have at that time?
So all of the above. Well, you only said one thing, so above. So Bathurst has got to be, I think, the most difficult track on the planet. So you've got this section at the bottom it's on a mountain. It's called Mount Panorama. The bottom section of the track is a normal racetrack. There's some chicanes, some 90-degree corners, a hairpin, a 100-degree kind of banked corner, all pretty simple. Then you start climbing up the mountain, And it's all of these kind of really fast, almost flat, but not quite, kind of blind corners over crests and everything. But it's roads. So it's a street course, essentially. And then you get to the peak of the mountain. And then you got to go down it. And it's this like crazy downhill chicane section that's all street course, like set up, like it's all between barriers. And so not only do you have to have like a lot of circuit knowledge just to know the tricks of this place. I mean, there's like 28 corners or something. Car is also basically just like a more refined version of a NASCAR, right? So there's no downforce. There's no real mechanical grip. There's just a lot of power, and you just have to commit to it, right? And so the track that we tested the V8 on for 2 days was really just a normal racetrack, and we were like within a couple tenths of the quick guys, and we were like, oh, this is not that bad. But Bathurst requires such a refined level of driving that car, and the big thing that we really struggled with is you have to right foot brake. And any type of Formula driver that's under 35 years old is not right foot braked anything in their life.
Yeah.
And so
why is that? Is that because you can't physically gas and brake at the same time, or because of the car, or what?
Well, the way the foot boxes are set up, you physically can't, but also there's no need, because it's all this sequential semi-automatic pattern, right? So like you would never be able to in the first place. Well, with the V8, it's still one of the last cars remaining that's got, the old sequential gearbox, which is weird because you're driving on the right side of the car, so you're using your left hand. But you actually have to right foot brake, and the reason for that is because the cars are so heavy. If you were just to get off the throttle and brake, the weight transfers too much, and you can't actually get the car slowed down in an efficient way. So you actually need the delay in moving your right foot from the throttle to the brake. So anyways, It was just a lot to learn, and a lot of new techniques that we just haven't used before crammed into a 3-day weekend.
That's interesting. Do you also have to use, you don't have to use your left foot on the clutch in your downshifts, right? It's just that you need the extra time.
No, it's preferred. No.
Oh, it is? Yeah. Okay, cool.
You can get away with not. You can get away with just blipping as you pass through neutral, but like the good guys are on the clutch for sure.
Okay. I always, because I don't drive a lot of race cars, but I drive a lot of these crazy fucking standing mile thick cars where people put sequentials in them, and sometimes they put like auto blipping on the the systems, and they get really insulted if you use the clutch. So I never really know, but yeah, okay, clutch in V8 Supercar.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So there was a guy. So there was 2 drivers at Penske, Team Penske down there, and one was Scott McLaughlin and was winning everything. And the other guy was his teammate and super successful, like had won V8 championships and all this stuff. And he had an accident, and his right foot, like his ankle, didn't work in that way anymore. He couldn't get the angle anymore. And so he had to revert to left foot braking. And from that day, he was immediately like 3 or 4 tenths slower than his team.
Wow. How about that?
Which sucks, because like, what are you going to do? But yeah.
Well, I wonder if you never learn left foot braking in the first place, I wonder if that makes it easier to work your way up to V8
Maybe.
Supercar if you don't train your body the other way. What have you ever had a day where you've had 2 like wildly different race cars to drive, like in the same day?
No, the closest I got to that was actually last week. I was testing the IndyCar at Sebring on one side of the track, and then I was driving the Acura DPI car on the other side of the track.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, so to answer my question, yes, last week.
But not really, because a DPI car is pretty much a Formula car just with body on it. Like, it's not a GT car. Like it's an open wheel car just with fenders and a roof.
Yeah, fair. So your driving style is going to be similar?
There's little adjustments you have to make. And really the Acura is a lot more technologically advanced in a lot of ways, the car we're looking at right there, because in that category, you're allowed kind of open, there's no real regulations on the software that you have. So the traction control and the drivability and the fly-by-wire throttle maps and all the different settings that you have on that car are a lot more complex, whereas the Indy car, you just get in and drive the piss out of it and hope it's good.
Yeah. Is one of the cars, I mean, more fun than the other?
The IndyCar is more fun, I think. And here's the thing, like the DPI car is fast, and like when you're driving it, you feel like it's fast. But then when I got in the IndyCar 10 minutes later, like it was like, wow, like these things are still pretty quick. And then the only other time that I can think of is last year, talking about Australia and the V8s. I did the Bathurst 1000, flew the next morning from Sydney, landed in Los Angeles, and was driving a off-road Baja race truck in the desert that day.
That's a big swing. Was that the Ridgeline?
That's like that was like a 36-hour turnaround.
That's pretty big turnaround. That's, I imagine, different driving styles there.
So that kind of connects to
quite different.
You know, you spoke about it with V8 supercars. You guys were on page 2, but it was like one of the most enjoyable driving experiences of the year. And with this, like the DPI cars, super advanced, but you enjoy the IndyCar more. So what are those things that you're enjoying about these driving experiences versus, you know, the most advanced or fastest vehicle?
Well, so here's the thing. So like I enjoyed Bathurst so much because like that's one of those bucket list races. Like that's one of those races that every racing driver knows about. You know, it's in the same conversation as Indy 500, Monaco Grand Prix, 24 Hours Daytona, 24 Hours Le Mans, et cetera, et cetera. Bathurst 1000. It's one of those races. So just to be able to go there and experience the atmosphere that goes along with that, like Australians like to party, right? And there's a bunch of kangaroos. Like we had yellow flags during the race because there was kangaroos on the track. So we had to like pause the race for kangaroo crossing.
Yeah, the most Australian shit ever.
Yeah, exactly. So that whole experience made it what it was. IndyCar I love just because ultimately that's the best car that you can drive outside of a Formula One car, and it's my daytime job, my day job, if you will. And then the off-road stuff is such a departure from everything else that I've ever done, and again, something that's a little bit out of my depth in terms of being ultra competitive at it. So like having to learn a new skill still in the same realm of motorsports is pretty awesome. So I love the fact that I've been able to do all of this stuff through the Honda family. Obviously, great relationship with Honda in IndyCar, and then they obviously are the parent company to Acura, which is where the sports car connection comes in, and then the Honda Ridgeline and the Baja stuff. So very cool to be able to drive for such a diverse brand like that.
They're doing cool things. They just sent me a nice invitation to test their IMSA TC car or something like that.
Right on.
So the Civic Type R, the Type R TC, I don't know, it looks super fun. I'm stoked. Should be a good time.
Where would you do that? Like Willow Springs?
I don't. I mean, they didn't specify at a local area track. I don't know. Are they? I mean, maybe Long Beach. Actually, they might be. If they're running Long Beach. I love any opportunity to drive because as a regular person, you don't get to drive at Long Beach. So any opportunity to run laps of Long Beach, I will take. I got to do it in an NSX last year. It was fun.
Did you do the celebrity race ever?
No, I'm not famous enough.
Oh,
it's unfortunate. Sorry. I know it's okay. I feel like I could have done well because like my people do well. Like I'm Adam Carolla won that shit a bunch. I'm definitely as fast as him. Rutledge won it. I'm as quick as him. I feel like I could do it, but not famous enough. That's okay. Oh, maybe if they bring it back.
I never got invited either. So.
Are you excited by any street cars at all, or are the race cars just so far beyond that you don't even seek that?
Yes. No. I've been disappointed by a lot of road cars. I'll be honest with you. I've been lucky enough to have friends that have had a lot of really cool stuff. Favorite cars that I ever drove was that Beanie. It was the SV, I think it was a Murcielago that came right before the Aventador, and they only made a couple of them.
Yeah, Mercy SV.
Yeah, that thing was awesome. I really enjoyed that. And then the only other car, and I know this is going to sound like a plug, but I really enjoy the NSX. And it's really truly the only supercar that I've gotten to track. So that might be some of it. But
Yeah.
I've gotten to drive that at Lime Rock, at Coda, at there was somewhere else that I drove it, and it's great. Like ultimately for a road car, like it's way more than any human being needs.
Yeah,
and that's what blows me away with cars these days, whether it's a supercar or whether it's one of these Hellcats. I cannot believe that every Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk to a dealership and buy a car with 100 horsepower.
I say this shit all the time. Yeah, I know. Every time if anyone who's seen my car reviews, I say this shit all the time. I just drove the McLaren 765 LT, which is like 2,800 pounds and 800 horsepower. And compared to their other 800 horsepower car, also has a close ratio gearbox, which I assure you the last one did not need with 800 horsepower. And I mean, look, you do drive a prototype race car. I haven't driven anything like that. I've driven little slow prototype race cars, little four-cylinder prototype race cars. And this is like it's like an LMP2 car or something. I mean, it's like you're running 9-second quarter miles and blowing the tires off this thing at 100 miles an hour when boost kicks in. Like race cars don't even do that shit.
So absolutely not. So a buddy of mine drives for Corvette in GTLM in IMSA.
Yeah.
And he said
that's a hot car. That IMSA C8 is hot.
It is.
Yeah.
But check this out. He's like, the C8 Z06 that's going to come out is legitimately the C8 race car where it's like stickers.
Really? I want one so bad. I heard the street motor. I heard a little Instagram like spy video of it doing a little pull away, one of the camo cars.
Yeah.
That flat plane motor sounded like the business. It was
it's very annoying because we're actually pitted next to it at Daytona, and when they do their like launches from the pit stop, it literally blows up your soul. Like you have the headphones on, everything, and every time it happens, like you just jump back and shake inside.
Yeah,
it's just
the skull. You can see the yellow skull and the thunder.
Yes.
That NSX, though, I will say, the faster you go, the road car, the faster you're going in it, the more fun it is. I don't really like it at low speeds with the hybrid shit doing its thing. Yeah. But actually, when you start going really fast, that's a really, really fun car.
Yeah, 100%. So back to your original question, there hasn't been a huge amount that have really inspired me, which I'm very thankful for because I did not want to write checks in these cars. Like, I mean, you look at a buddy of mine just bought me, like, cool, but that's like I could buy like a small, nice home for that.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. Like, I would, So
I understand.
I'll stick with
if you can avoid it. If you can avoid the bug for sure. It's a tough rabbit hole to get lost down, definitely. What other than general racing and upcoming seasons of both endurance and IndyCar racing, are we promoting anything today?
No.
That's good. That makes our life very easy.
I have a very poor, very bad podcast with James Hinchcliffe, fellow IndyCar driver. But other than that, speaking of rabbit holes, I have gotten into bourbon collecting, which is a big rabbit hole.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
You think cars are expensive? You can literally drink the profit. you can have something that's worth something, and then by the end of the night, it's worth nothing.
So I didn't think about that until I have gotten quite a good collection going that's pretty valuable. And I brought my insurance broker over and I was like, I want to insure this. And he just laughed. And I was like, why is that funny? And he was like, well, think about it. I insure these bottles and then you have a night and you have the buddies over and you drink 3 of them. Then what? And it was like, oh, I guess that doesn't make sense. So you can't insure liquor.
Yeah.
Which
lesson.
Makes sense. And then the only other thing that I'm doing is I'm getting my pilot's license, which is fun.
Yep. Traditional racing driver hobby. Tanner Faust has been, do you know Tanner?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
He has been
He's
like
flying a lot these days.
he's a machine. He's a machine. He one day, you know, we host a show together called Sorted where we drive people's modified cars, and I drive them on the street, and then he kills them on the track. And
Nice.
and you know, he flies to the gigs at the track, which is great. But we were doing some press the other day for it, and he lives in like Orange County, so he flew up here. We did the thing. He then flew to Big Bear for lunch with some friends, flew them back here, and then flew to Newport just to go home. Like that's just what his day is. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
It is awesome. Right. It is awesome. How far down the rabbit hole are you?
I am about 70% done. So I should have it done by beginning of March, I think.
You already got a plane picked out, don't you? I bet you do.
I do. Yeah, I sure do. See, I'm not going to buy a GT3. I'm going to buy an airplane. Much smarter investment.
Yeah, you can insure it.
That's true. Can't drink it.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That'll be fun.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. So yeah, that's keeping me busy. And then IndyCar obviously starts. It's a little bit pushed back now due to the world. First race is April something in Alabama. So,
but it's not a truncated season, right? Is 21 a full season again?
Oh yeah, full season.
Yeah, full season, right? Okay.
So when Long Beach got moved, there was going to be like a 7-week race and second race, which didn't make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So they just moved the first and the second race closer together. So.
Cool. That's awesome.
Good.
I will. If they allow people to come to Long Beach, I will definitely come. I would like to come say what's up and hang out.
Great.
And thanks for doing the show, man. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Next year in Jerusalem, as they say, or in Los Angeles. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it, dude. Alexander Rossi, Off Track Podcast, IndyCar, endurance racing, Acura racing cars, and the Honda Napa number 27 IndyCar. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. You're the man. That's our show for today. We will see you guys next week.